President Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali announced additional housing developments for residents of Region 10. The announcement was made during an impromptu meeting with residents of Victory Valley.
We're going to work on regularizing and giving another 1,000 titles to person living here. And we're going to work to find the land so that we can meet the demand.
Some 800 lots will be regularized in the first half of 2025 in 11 priority areas, including Ituni and Amelia's ward. Over the past 4 years, the PPPC government has invested billions into the sustainable development of Region 10.
From 2020 to now, in order to give and deliver to you housing and house lots, we invested more than $5.8 billion here in Linden. More than 600% than the last government invested in all 5 years of their office.
A wonderful good night to each and every one of you that are locked in here on another episode of On Target. I must say thank you so much for being here tonight once again, guys. Just let me organize myself properly. Turn on this phone a bit. I don't want to be distracted or don't want to distract you, the viewers. So anyway, guys, I will ask you to do the honor and just share the live, share the program as you tune in, as you join, and invite a friend, invite a family. And guys, we have so much we want to touch in here tonight. Given the fact as well, I do have a guest here tonight, and actually it was the guests that were to be here last night. So we have a whole lot to discuss and highlight various issues, and more so, we will be focusing more on the positive side, which is the development in Linden and Region 10. So thank you guys once more for tuning in. And I want to ask you to share the live, guys. Share the live. Invite someone, invite friend, invite family, call your neighbor, and just tell them Kevin is on target. So good night to Omar Sharif, always here, live and present. Thank you for being here, my brother. We have Shakila Bridgelal. Shakila Bridgelal, you're very early tonight, and I'm happy to see you here tonight. Thank you for being here, Shakila, and I hope that you click that share button and invite somebody. We have Patricia Solomon. Good night to you, Patricia, and thank you for tuning in. And Patricia is tuning in all the way from Mabaruma. That's so nice. And guys, I always say to you, when you locked in on the program, please let me know where you locked in from so I can big you up, big up your family and your region or community or wherever. Right? We have Padma Balwan, good night, watching all the way from Toronto, Canada. That's beautiful. Thank you for being here and thank you for tuning in as well. We have Jim. Good night to you, Jim. We have Malvina Lorima. Okay, that seems like a family. Good night to you, Malvina. We have Suraj Jagru. Good night to you, Suraj Ajay Sharma. Mr. Sharma. Good night to you. And how is everything in Essequibo, Sharma? How is everything in your end? I don't let me be very respectful, and I can say Pandit Sharma. Good night to you, Pandit, and thanks for being here, my brother Samuel Williams. Good night to you, Samuel. So, guys, please share the live, and we will go straight into discussion. Oh, I have Shikan. Good night to here. Good night for being here, Shikan. And guys, please, I ask you to do the honor and share the live. Now, we have a few things we would like to touch on, and some of the things I didn't have enough time. This is the problem. Enough time to upload. There are some persons who would have sent some stuff here to me, but due to the timings, I didn't get to upload it. And then I am fully set for a packed program here tonight with my guests, who I know will be prepared or is prepared, for a matter of fact, to share with us and talk with us of the developments and the good things that are happening in Linden. All right. So thank you so much. And I have my good friend, Theodore Adams. Theodore, good night to you, my brother. Let me tell y'all something. I know many y'all don't know Theodore, and a lot of Linden people know Theodore, right? Theodore and I had some back and forth on social media and Facebook. But what I always admire with the guy, at first, I used to think the man is a PPP. And then at one time, I used to think the man is a PNC or APNU. But when I get to find out Theodore is a person who stands in the middle and call a spade, and we had back and forth and so on. And he's very critical when it comes to the development in Linden. Theodore is always a person who is always instrumental in getting certain things done, even though you might not see him on the ground behind the scene. I know personally he's getting some things done. And then also apart from that, Theodore is always an outspoken person. So Theodore, it's nice to have you here tonight, my brother. Arjun, Januar, good night to you. Malvino saying, yes, Kevin, Laura, my family. I'm from Three Friends. Thank you for tuning in. Right. And Kumar Ramdio, good night to you, my brother. All right, guys. So don't let me delay the program. I have my guest here in the background, and we will be touching on some things here tonight. And with no further delay, let me take this opportunity to invite my brother all the way from Linden here. So good night to you, Mr. Muhammad. And how are you, sir?
I'm great, brother. All praise is due to the one God. As is customary, anything we do, we begin in the most holy name of God, the beneficent, the merciful. We say all praise and thanks is due to Almighty God. He's the Lord of the worlds, and He's the beneficent, and He's the merciful, and He's the sole master of this day that we're now living in, the day of judgment. But my brother, I'm eternally thankful for God for coming to us in the person of a man named Master Farad Muhammad. And we thank them for raising up one called Elijah Muhammad. And we thank them both for leaving in our midst a big brother, my leader, teacher, and guide, my father that I never had, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And if it was not for that man, Farrakhan, I would have not been here, brother, saying anything on this program. But let me take this opportunity to say a pleasant night to your viewers. If there are any Muslims on the line, Assalamu alaikum. Any Hindus, Shanti Shanti. Any Rastas, Elab, one love. If there are any brothers from the original African faiths, hold up. I'm honored, honored, honored beyond words to be here. As you know, Dennis Mohammed coming in any such program like this is controversial because some would have a problem, some would not have a problem. Nevertheless, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that we should speak regardless of situation or circumstances. And any program we should be willing to go on regardless because in our faith we believe that we should stand for truth and we should stand for justice. So regardless where you are, which program you're on, you should stand for truth and you should stand for justice. So I'm honored, brother, to be a part of your program tonight.
All right, so Mr. Muhammad, well, let me cut out this Mr. Muhammad thing. When I say Mr. Muhammad, we're Londoners, so everybody know you as Jafar. And when I say Jafar, we know you as a very respectable and prominent businessman in Linden, and I've known you for a number of years. When I say a number of years, I've known you for over 25 years in the town of Linden. Always a busy man. I know you since when you was a taxi driver, and you would have elevated right up, and I always admire your style in terms of how you reason and deal with especially current affairs. For many persons who know Jafar and Linden, his place of business, we know it's a pharmacy just opposite Courts on the Republic Avenue there. And every time you go in there, Jafar always welcome you, and he always have something to challenge you. Hey, what do you think about this? Why? So that is it. And it's never. It's I. One of the things, Jafar, I've never heard you say, "Hey, I'm from the PVP side," or "Hey, I'm from the APNU side." You always have an open opinion, and you ask people's opinion as well. I stand there among ministers, and I hear you challenge ministers before from both sides of government before, and this is the kind of maturity that we need as well. And some persons can't, deal with the facts and the truth. So let us get straight into discussions, Jafar. Um, you have been a prominent businessman for a number of years in Linden. Since I've known you, you are always into business, right? And while like you say, some might disregard of your opinion. But the only thing um, can shine bright is the truth. We have to speak the truth. Whatever is it, you put it out there. And I got a question to shoot straight forward right now. I want to ask you, right? What is your opinion on developments or specifically economic growth in Region 10, and more so on the business entity prior 2020 and from 2020 to now 2025? What is your views? What are your opinions on the business um, level in Region 10?
That's a very good question. But let me say from the onset, my life is about cultivating souls and not winning a vote. So for those of the viewers that may be here on this live tonight with the intention for me to say something to win a vote, I'm not about winning a vote. I'm about cultivating souls and speaking to the truth of the matter. And the question do delves a little into politics because it's obvious that the government will have changed in 2020. So the question points to the fact that prior to 2020, one government was heading Guyana, and after 2020, another government took over. I think it's obvious that more monies were injected into the community, not only of Linden, but throughout the length and breadth of Guyana. And some business people or people with business idea see it fit to come into Linden. And some of them actually, dear brothers, call us, meaning some of them come amongst us and show us how to do business in terms of products, in terms of timing that we should open, and in terms of quality of products. Because I remember just after 2020, they had an influx of Chinese. And I was one of those that was questioning why would Chinese come and put big supermarkets in Linden? Linden is not ready for this economically. Linden is not ready to take off this. Where would the money come from? And brother, the rest is history. Linden presently have over 5 mega Chinese supermarkets. Even our brothers that were selling over the counter from a shop like distribution, many of our brothers had to go and now open a full-fledged supermarket. And that is why I say the Chinese come amongst us and show us how to do business. I won't necessarily put myself in that category because anybody that knows me know that I don't have holidays when it comes to business. My business open 7 days a week, and maybe if I could have gotten a chance to go 24 hours, I would have gone 24 hours. So I don't limit my time in terms of I don't limit my business in terms of time and in terms of day. But we definitely see a influx of cash coming in, injected into Linden. And the proof, my dear brother, that business did went up. We saw a whole lot of mega businesses started in Linden, and they were supported financially and still growing. And I always say this on that point, there is always room for another business that is already there. For example, we have 8 pharmacies in Linden. And I always tell people that there is always room for another pharmacy. Why? Because of our attitude. The attitude that you bring to your business can determine whether you're successful or not. So we might see businesses being closed in Linden, and in some instances, it's not necessary because business is slow, but it's because of your attitude that you use towards your business. I learned something from my leader, brother, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, that customer means repeated business. And everyone that put foot into my business, I must treat them in such a manner, such a way. Me and my staff must treat them in such a manner, in such a way that they must want to come back. The attitude that I should show towards them is an inviting one. I should not base my business on money, but I should base my business in service. And as a religious man, we hold the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, very high. A man that served humanity seeking nothing. In the Christian faith, you can use Jesus as an example. Jesus served the people seeking nothing, asking for nothing. So us, even if we found doing business, we should be of service to our people, putting money last.
All right. So technically you are saying, because the one of the things I was actually looking for, and like you mentioned, um, my questions might more be politically based, but really and truly, it's a comparison. Though some persons might say that yes, it is political, but what are your thoughts now prior 2020, from 2015 to 2020? What are your thoughts? You as a businessman, right? I can have a more idea from you, like what transpired, what really happened on your end in 2015 to 2020.
Well, if you're thinking personally, my business, tremendous growth. And I'm constantly being bombarded by fellow businessmen that would say to me, man, don't tell people that your business is growing. Because as you know, we now have right care pharmacy too, just opposite the Mackenzie police station. And because of the growth of our present business, we were able to establish another one. And this is no secret. It is because of the booming of that one, we were able to establish another one. And by the grace and mercy of God, we're looking to keep climbing higher heights. And so I want to encourage businessmen to don't give up now. Now is not the right time for you to give up. And also on the question of uh, business growth, you would have recognized it's not rocket science. It's right in front of you. Where a whole lot of taxes that were on businesses, a whole lot of taxes that were in place, that was promised by His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Infranadi to drop as soon as he get into power, and he did exactly that. And that in itself helped to propel us as businessmen. Because if you look at pharmacy carefully, 90% of the pharmaceuticals have not raised. I'm telling you that as a businessman. 90% of the pharmaceutical have not raised. And this is because of control of many different taxes. You maybe know them better than me, but there are many taxes that was just do away with. And also to even the government would step into lending. Like I say, you will know those things better than me. And even give tax ease to many businessmen that may need it, right? Many businessmen that might be erring. You might not be strong on your GRA and stuff like that. The government would step in and see whatever assistance they can give you. Some businessmen may not want to say that. Why? Because if I say this, then the government of the day look good. But like I said from the start, I'm not here to win no vote. I'm here to cultivate souls.
Exactly. So let me get to our next question, Jafar. Um, Apart from the businesses, we have something here in Region 10 that is it's a what to say, it's more so considered to be a conflict, and it's an issue that is ongoing, probably over a year or more, as it relates to the mayor and town council in Linden. um, we all know what are the responsibilities and the roles of the municipality itself and the mayor and town council. There's a lot of the and I always believe they said if the head do not function, then you don't expect the body or the tail to function as well, right? And the mayor and town council should be the what to say. There is like technically the policy makers of this town, and we need them just as much as they need us, especially in the business entity. Let us look first at the central Mackenzie area. For a number of years, we have seen, and I would be raw enough to use the word, the level of incompetence of the mayor and town council of Region 10, right? Or for Linden in general, because the mayor town council is not for an entire region; it's for more so a municipality, a boarded amount of the area, right? And I would say I continue to see over since I'm growing up, I continue to see the mayor and town council how they operate in one position. Mayor come, mayor go, council come. It's the same thing, right? And of recent, we have seen a back and forth and a battle between the mayor himself And recently, I would say recently, it's about a year or more, right? But I say recently, town clerk that was appointed. We all know constitutionally the town clerk is being appointed from the Ministry of Local Government, right? That happens under our government, right? And for some reason, we are seeing more not an issue of policy making or policy breaking between the two. We can say because of this we having an issue. It's more so of a personality issue, where one side don't like the other side, and specifically um, the present town clerk, Mr. Gaspar, who is also a former member of the PNC, who decided to cross the floor and support the PPP, is now appointed as the town clerk. And for some reason, um, the mayor and some of the councillors, or majority of the councillors on the coalition side, there's a back and forth. And because of this, you having the staff wages are being held. Technically, you can say the staff being held as hostage. When it's payday, the people can't get the money. You see the garbage is being neglected, and all these things. Um, I wanted to know from your perspective as a businessman in the Central Mackenzie, in any way, does this has any effect on you and other businesses?
Well, the truth is, it don't have any effect on me personally. It might have an effect on the broader community, because one of the problems I solve it myself by hiring a garbage collector. So that was solved for me. But we should understand, brother, the biggest problem in politics is for politicians to leave their ego and their logo outside of the meeting. That has been a problem, not only in Linden, but that has been a national problem. Whenever elections are over, it is time for the development of a nation, not my party or your party. It is time for us to look after everybody. Politicians tend to bring their logo still, which is the name of their political party, and their ego, believing that I am better than him. It is no secret that I'm one of those individuals that was called in as a peacemaker to break the peace between both of my brothers. Because gospel is my brother. I'm a Muslim, but I'm Christian by definition of the word. Because a Christian is one who's crystallized into oneness with God, following the example of Jesus Christ. All Muslims follow Jesus. Brother Sharma is my Muslim brother. See, so both are my brothers. Hence, maybe that's one of the reasons why people say it's fit in a brother like me. Presently, we are going through a process where we're trying to break a peace between the two brothers. Because, like you rightly said, if the head is not working, if the top is not working, then the body cannot function. So as it is now, I would plead with the people of Linden to be patient, give it some time, so that we can see those two individuals coming together. But on a broad basis, what I would like to see in every municipality in Guyana, I would like to see the intervention of the government of the day. If it means, my brother, changing policies, because there are many policies there in local government that has a bottleneck on this community. If it means changing policies so that we can see government injecting more than they already injecting into Linden, if we can see policies where those that might be considered councillors being paid better, those that are considered mayor being paid better, policies that we can see monies coming into Linden. And as Lindeners, I say this on my last Facebook program, and some were a little upset with me. Policies where we must be able to approach the government of the day and say, hey, what? This is what is lacking in Linden, and this is what is needed. Yes, you're doing fine, but we think that if you add these things, we can even do better. And I said this publicly the last time, I say it again. If the political leaders of Linden do not have the desire to do it, then definitely a brother like Dennis Mohammed and some civil people in society will have to approach the government today and say, hey, what? This is what Linden needs to be added to Linden to make Linden look better. So, yes, I'm there as a peacemaker as we speak. Things are formulating, and our wish and aspiration, brother, is to see those two brothers setting a peace treaty.
Well, I saw somebody comment in the comment section and said this is like bringing peace between Israel and Palestine.
I don't
Right?
think so.
You know,
Israel and Palestine is a deep issue, brother. Not as deep as
yeah.
that.
Well, I could tell you, right? I mean, apart from not ignoring your input in terms of trying to find a way to resolve and bring peace among the two individual. But what I know personally from my personal experience, I've known the two individual very well as well. I know Mr. Sharma. I work very close with Mr. Sharma as well in the business entity. Gaspar, I knows him as well. So the most I can say is good luck on that because you know what I know, what is my personal take on this is that we all can have an opinion, we all can have issue, we could agree to disagree. I could don't like you, you could don't like me, but if we are sober-minded citizens, if we are sober-minded leaders, and we want to you know leave a legacy. That must be a legacy for others to follow, the younger generation. And we should more so put aside our egos, like you rightly said, and look at the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is making your constituency, making your municipality, making your entire town a home for the future generation, right? And I can tell you from the time to now, I am seeing a back and forth. I haven't seen any improvement. But however, I will keep the faith, as you said. We hoping that someday, and the time is short. We're going into general regional election just now, and this is not good for the town of Linden. Because of this, I can tell you personally why I ask you that question from the beginning is because I've met with various business entities in the central Mackenzie, right? And you have some issues raising up. And when you go down to the root of it, it all reflects back on the relationship between the mayor and the town clerk, right? Even with the recent Linden Town Week event that they had, well, I once at least recent, the last Linden Town Week that they had, you know, it was it, the details that came out from that, this was very unacceptable, But however, like I said, I will, listen
The
to
faith.
your advice as well, and keep the faith as well.
The
I
faith.
want to go. I want to go to. I have two critical questions to you, but this particular question is something that is being what to say is something that is being peddling for a very long time, and it more so. I'm speaking it as a politician from the political side, where you will hear people try to compare or not to use not right to use a word, but I find it as a form of disrespect or belittle when it comes to the um, the president of the country and the vice president. And you will hear people coming up with things like, oh, Bar Jagdeo is the president and Irfan Ali is not the president, and these things. I mean, there's laws and there's a constitution, and people have their opinion, yes. But like I would have said last night on my program, it is okay to criticize. Nothing is wrong with that. It's okay to criticize. But what I respect more is constructive criticism, right? And if you want to highlight something or you want to suggest something, I would also appreciate a recommendation. Because if you're going to say to me that this color shirt is not suitable for my program, you must be able to say to me why, and you must also able to say to me or recommend to me a color that might be suitable. right? And we find it in society today where people just criticize left, right, and center, have no proper recommendations or input into it. But I would like to hear from your end. What are your opinion? What are your thoughts on that when it comes to the relations between the vice president and the president and the general public? More so, not the general public, but coming from the political opposition side. What are your thoughts on that?
That's a big question, brother. And as a matter of fact, that is the first time I ever speak on that question publicly. So that's a big question. You see, what we must admire among men is the word called cohesion. And what I recognize between the president and the vice president, they have what is called cohesion. Well, the politician might say he's playing on himself. Some go so far to say he's a boy. One is undermining the other. But history, history, all great leaders said to us, if you don't know your past, you're doomed to make the same mistake in the future. Bob Marley said in one of his songs, in this great future, you can forget your past. If anybody could remember the history of this country, after the PPP lost in 2015, they were on their faces. They were down, but not out. You know when you're boxing, right? And you get knocked down, but you're not out. So they were down, but not out. And then sometimes to make you revive, they give you what is called smelling salts. And the smelling salts will bring you back. Whether Guyana like it or not, whether they agree or not, the smelling salts was Barjagdio. Barjagdio is the man who stand up back and give some level of relevance to the party. Put all who are to put aside, put them aside. As you know, he had announced previously that he wants nothing to do with politics. But like any man that loves his family, and even though you might say, you tell your wife, look, you run things with the children, man, I'm going to stay in the back seat. Recognizing that it's too much for her, you might get in and say, hey, what? Hold up, hold up. So Barjagdo, knowing the stalwart of a politician he stepped in. And he said, hey, what? I got this. And the rest is history. It was a rumor that he chose who he wanted to be the presidential candidate, and we know that was no rumor. He see the best man fit for the job. And let me tell you something about the best man fit for the job. Many times, rigid voting, square peg could end up in round hole, brother. Many times when you have rigid voting, where 15 and a tie at 7, 8, or a tie at 9, 9 to 7, or 9 to 6, it can bring a lot of controversy. So the main fact that we saw the choice of, some people say the vice president's choice, we all know it was his choice. We saw that he made his choice and he bet on that individual. Of course, don't take anything away from the brother. He, in what we call street talk, he war for his party. He stick his neck out for his party. We remember him in opposition. At that time, most of Linden was behind the coalition, we got to be honest. Because we were saying in the background, give them a chance. Let's see how they will deliver to the people. And all of us were saying that, including myself. See? But we saw how Barrett Jagdeo war as opposition leader. See? And bringing along Mr. Infernali. So there is no doubt that the two men have maximum respect for each other. Some may say one playing down the other. Some may say one being disrespectful to the other, but it's not like that, brother. It is about what you call cohesion. You see, in life, what is necessary is the results. That's important, Mr. Lormo. What is important is results. And if it means that I have a, let me tell you something. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad could not ask for better man to back him other than Minister Louis Farrakhan. It's like Paul and Jesus. Jesus made known to the world by a man named Paul. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, some maybe now getting the chance to really know who this man was because of who? Minister Louis Farrakhan. And so Barjadio stand up and give back relevance to that party and see a man that he thought is fit, you see, that is fit to do the job. And what we should admire is the maturity of the two men rather than to talk down or run down one or the other.
Something you mentioned a point just now, right, which is very critical. But though I don't want the general public or our viewers or anybody out there that listening, I don't want persons to ever run away with the fact or the idea to say that, you know what, um, this is what Jack Dio said, right? Because this is how they put it out there. Persons have to understand that the foundation on the PPP's um, political history is democracy. I've witnessed two of the People's Progressive Party Congress, and it's a very clean and smooth democratic process, right? It's a very clean and smooth democratic process. The most the vice president or the most Bar Jack Deal might do is to say that, you know what, I believe that Mohammed Irfan Ali might be the best choice. This is my choice. And the people who saw the good fight that Bar Jagdeo would have put up, the people that have the trust in Bar Jagdeo, the people that believe that, you know, every word he said, meaning that they are confident in him as a leader. And if Bar Jagdeo can say, all right, I see Irfan as the best next president. Remember, Bar Jagdeo is the first youngest president in the history of Guyana at the age of 35 years. And this is one of the things that people look up to him for, leadership, and people have the confidence in him. So if he said that, you know what, this is my choice, he didn't tell the people, hey, Alia, come and vote for Irfan. He said, this is my choice. And because of that, people who are confident in him, especially in the party itself, gave that support to both Irfan and Bar Jagdeo because, they said, look, I believe in Jagdeo. Whatever he said, I will work with that. And if he saw that Mohammed Irfan Ali was the best presidential candidate, then I'm going to go with him. And I'm telling you, today, his choice, like you would have rightly said, was one of the best choice. I can be very honest here to say, when I saw Mohammed Irfan Ali as a presidential candidate, I was like, I don't really know this guy much as how he operates. I know he served as Minister of Housing and so on. I know he was also the PAC, the chairman of the PAC, and these things. But then, and today, my whole entire beliefs and how I think before is different because we have seen now Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali become one of the greatest presidents of this country, right? And then sometimes as well, too, Jafar, I always say this to people when I work on community level. Sometimes if we to really sit down and take what everybody said, we will never be nowhere. And that's what you mentioned just now. We could end up with a square peg in a round hole. And my philosophy is sometimes we have to make some undemocratic decision for a democratic purpose. And therefore, we would have seen his choice and the people's choice, starting from the party's level, has become the choice not only around Guyana, but by many leaders around the world who have great respect, not only for our country, but for our president and our government. And that is my opinion on that, right? So I agree with you with the point that you made, and I must say this as well. And I said it many times. Guyana would have seen one of the strongest opposition party from 2015 to 2020. Bar Jagdeo and the PPP did not rest. They start all over again. They start from grassroots politics right through. You understand? So that is my view on it. Now I have the last question I have for you here today, sir, is one of the most critical questions in our society, and especially when it comes to Region 10. We all know that Region 10 is predominantly Afro-Guyanese, right? And first it used to bother me, but now it don't, because I think I'm wise enough, I'm old enough to sit and assess based on what is before me. There is this narrative that is being peddling from the opposition camp for a very long time, and even to some of their political activists on the ground here in Linden, right? That the PPPC government is a racist government, and the PPPC government, to put it raw, they would say the PPPC government don't like black people. Now, you being a black brother in this region, what are your opinion on that? And not only for Linden, but generally speaking around the country as well.
That's a solid question again. I'm gonna add to your question some more things to support you. The people don't only say that the PPP don't like black people, but they would even go on to say PPP would suppress them, oppress them, and even make them depressed. And maybe you heard that before. PPP are oppressors, depressors, they suppress us, keep us down. Everybody in Linden claim a religion. And every time you hear me speak, I would give respect to all the religions. My question is this. If I know Allah as my Savior, if I know Jesus as my Savior, if I know Krishna as my Savior, if I know Jah as my Savior, can anyone oppress me? Can anyone suppress me? Can anyone make me depressed? I could stop right there because that answer your question. And so sometimes we should ask ourselves, who's suppressing who? My book that I read, the Holy Quran, hear what it said, brother. Nothing befall man except what man own hands has done. Everyone is on this life should write that down. Nothing befall man except what man own hands has done. So your faults should not be as a result of a government, as a result of a pastor, as a result of a leader, regardless of who government is in power. Who is your savior? Jesus, Allah, Krishna, Jah, or is it the head of the government? That's the question we should ask ourselves, brother. Who is your savior? Who's depressing you? Who's oppressing you? I said to a woman a few days ago, we were talking, and brother, literally, the name Jagdeo came out of this woman's mouth like 6 times. They were in a discussion. I said, are you Christian? She said, yes. I said, did you ever stop to realize, rather than saying the name Jagdeo, you could have said the name Jesus? They both begin with J. But what you don't realize, the Bible says that every knock is a boost. And every time you hit a man in a negative way, you believe. What you actually do is giving credence to that individual. So my leader taught me, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, that if you want to see an individual become irrelevant, just stop speaking about the individual. But every time you come in your life, every time you meet in a discussion, you talking about this individual, you talking about that individual, you giving credence to that individual. You keeping that individual names alive, and eventually, just like the donkey in the ditch, after the ditch is full, the donkey would walk away. And that same individual that you trying to be abusive to, that individual will be the successful individual. So we have to be careful, brothers. But on that question, we need to ask ourselves as Londoners, what do we want? Why do I ask this question, what do we want? Because the last time I checked, Mr. Larmo, we're comfortable seen as the party city of Guyana. Yeah. People say you want to party all night till next day, 7, 8 in the morning. Let's go to Linden. They don't stop party. You want to see naked women? Let's go to Linden. You want to see men drunk on the streets and the revelers next day? Let's go to Linden. You want to smoke the best weed? Let's go to Linden. You want to see the cocaine, the crack holes? Let's go to Linden. So as Lindeners, we got to ask ourselves what we want. Is it the government that is putting this weed in your hand? Is it the government that is putting this cocaine in your hand? It is the government that is sticking you up and telling you drink this alcohol? Is it the government that is doing that? You have choices, brother. And the thing about us, particularly black people, we have a messenger among us. Our messenger is a man named Minister Louis Farrakhan. Take it or leave it alone. And if you reject the very minister that you have, how do you believe you would end up, brother? I am certain that if we, as blacks, that believe that we so oppress, suppress, and depress, approach the government of the day, this is always my position, approach the government of the day with our issues, not individual issues, but collective. Approach them as a collective. I believe that we will get the requisite help we need, brother. This statement is becoming popular among me. Do you know why most people, especially Indian people, don't approach the government or don't approach the president? What you would say to the answer to that? What's the answer for that? I'll give you the answer. My answer is because they will get it. I'm telling you, because the government have finance available to do things. But if you do not ask, you know what the Bible says? Ask, and it shall be given unto you. You can't be upset with me if you don't ask. We see recently a whole lot of contracts were given out for roads. You saw that. And then after that, a whole lot of contracts were given out for people doing drains and what's not. And literally, brother, literally, everyone that asked for a contract to do road got it. Which is proof to what I'm saying to you. If you ask, it shall be given unto you. Me personally, I never had the cause to ask the president or the vice president for anything, but I'm almost certain that if I approach to the Nation of Islam, we have some event to do or something. Come on. What I don't like is that we take this position in Linden, and I'm being factual now. We take this position in Linden. Hear what? Our government is not in power, so I don't want to eat. I don't want nothing to do with the money. Let me say this. The dollar in Guyana, it don't write PPP in it, nor APNU AFC. The dollar is written Bank of Guyana. That's what's written on the dollar. Bank of Guyana. So the money is there for all of us. But how can you get if you don't approach? If we take a lackadaisical approach towards development, then we will not get. And let me say this. Guyana is moving at a pace. And this is the old time talk, there is no room for lazy man, brother. There is no room for man that don't have no ideas. See, as me, I'm a stick in my field because people ask me, Mr. Mohammed, so why you didn't take a road? I don't do roads, brother. I sell medication. You do. Try to master what you do, and then you would be able to spread your wings out. See? So that's not my thing. My thing is not doing contracts. I like what I do, and I'm going to stick to what I do. As a matter of fact,
All right, guys. It seems like our brother had some technical difficulties, but he's back in. Let me bring him back. Yeah, Jafar, you're back.
yes. Now I was just closing off on a point, saying that what I really love doing is cultivating the souls of my people. Yeah, you may come and see me selling a few tablets over the counter, but what your brother really, really love to do is to teach. I really love teaching my people. That's my desire, to teach my people.
All right, Jafar. So I appreciate your honesty on that, and one of the thing that I want to add to that, apart from individually, um, our black brothers and sisters individually um, choose to pull themselves away. We must not ignore as well the fact that we have some politicians who will go out there to preach to these people to say, hey, don't take anything from this government. And I like the fact that you would have mentioned it's this the notes or the legal tenders. Those things don't mark any political party in it. You know.
Mr. Lamaro, if I may just cut you for a minute. You know what's sad about that statement you just made? Many of our politicians on the opposition side taking, telling you don't take, but they're taking. That's
All
really
right.
hypocritical, man.
Well, I
Really
was actually
hypocritical, brother.
I was actually going to get to that because I personally I experienced that twice, and not long back, sometime in October, where I saw um I actually don't want to call about because it was a bit confidential.
No, don't do
One of
that. Don't do that.
one,
Don't do
one of
that, bro. Don't do
one of
that.
the leader one of the leader from the coalition side in Linden here, who was on the streets and discriminating the SIP workers project, discriminating the 10 days work, telling people not to take anything from the government. And I sat there and saw him send a letter to a particular ministry requesting or seeking support of over, I think it was something over $4 million. And right there, the minister didn't even question it. You know, all the minister know is, or the minister thought is that, look, you know what? Linden is going to benefit from this. But I know personally, his recommendation is based on what he's going to benefit from that. So they're going out there and they're telling the people, don't take this, don't take that, don't accept that from the government. But behind the scene, like you rightly said, these are the ones who are going quietly and seeking favor. And the government don't turn them down. Nobody on the government side don't turn them down. The government give it to them. It's a real sad situation, Jafar. It's a real sad situation.
What I wish is that we could have a few more independent voices that is not focused on winning any vote, but is just focused on bringing the plain truth to the people and being just. Let me say this to you that maybe I don't even know if you know. The religion of our president is a Muslim. And I remember early last year in the Islamic week, the celebration of Islamic week, he visited the occasion and was granted permission to speak. And one of the points that he made there is a very, very serious point. He said this to the imams. He said, I admire your zeal and your zest and your energy that you have for the incident in Palestine. And he said, I do support you because I'm at the forefront as president of this nation looking out for the people of Palestine. But he said to the imams that were present, I hardly hear you all raise your voices on what black people went through during slavery. You know what the truth, Mr. Larmer? I don't even believe that rests well with many ministers of government, much less many in the opposition. Because here is a man that is a Muslim, but he's saying to Muslim leaders, equally, in my opinion, equally, you need to address the issue of slavery. That was the greatest atrocity that ever took place any part of the world. Because what happened to us during slavery never happened to no other people any part of this world. We lost our name, custom, religion, norms, political system, cultural system. All we lost, and Mr. President was alluding to the fact. Again, this man went on the world stage. World stage. England, if you know anything about England, the Englishmen were some of the greediest slave masters, brother. And this man went on the world stage and make representation for black people. When it comes to reparations, do you know that hardly any president of Guyana even raised the topic, much less to go and speak about it? Barack Obama, whom I have a whole lot of respect for, 8 years, 4 years first, then another 4 years as president, never take God out of his thought and raise the issue of reparations, brother. And rather than we follow suit, support, and raise our decibels too, many of us say, no, he's not supposed to speak on behalf of us. He is not the president for one set of people. He's the president for the all of Guyana. So when he's speaking, he needs to speak on issues for all Guyanese. It just so happened that there are Guyanese in Guyana that are black. So his position is to raise his voice on behalf of us too whenever we have an issue. So rather than to condemn the way how he delivered or the way how he conduct himself, they just follow suit. Because the last time I checked, Mr. Larimer, there are hardly any groups in Guyana that are consistent other than the Nation of Islam on this issue of reparations. And I'm talking consistency.
And still, some still has the audacity to say that the PPPC government is a racist government. Jafar, I want to thank you so much for your time here tonight, and I think that you made a very powerful contribution. And I know a lot of persons are in support of your input, and and that is why when we had the discussion before, there are some persons that buy, you bring on Jafar the man's a PNC man, and these are the things, right? But here what are my thoughts? And I say to people all the time, you see this program here, it's open to everybody. Don't mind my political support or my political background or who I support. This program is open. And if you are fair enough and you want to come and have a discussion, let us have a discussion. You are entitled to an opinion. So, I am happy that many persons now will have the opportunity to hear from your side as well. You didn't come here and say vote PPP or vote PNC or APNU. You give your open statements, your open opinion. And if we as a people can be more in this kind of, mentality, I think we might be in a better place. You know, there's a time and a place of politics. You mentioned that earlier. When elections come and finish, it is time to fix your country, your community. It's time to put politics aside. But there's a problem here in Guyana. Many persons, or specifically many of our politicians, do not know when to separate their political life from their professional life. And that is the problem. Any closing remarks before you go?
Before I go, if there are any questions from the audience, I'll be willing to answer them. But I want to address this. There is this talk, not only on this government, but all governments. Whether it's in the time of Mr. Jagan, Mr. Barnum, Mr. Ramatar, Mrs. Jagan, there is always this talk that Guyana is a corrupt nation. And hear what? Don't let's bury our head in the sand. All countries have corruption. Don't let's bury our head in the sand. But why did I choose to address this, Mr. Lorimer? Because for the most part, those who are shouting the loudest that Guyana is so corrupt, they're living in these so-called first world countries. And in my opinion, the so-called first world countries are the most corrupt nations on earth. Because the real elephant in the room in Guyana is not PPP, it's not PNC, The real elephant in the room is not black people, it's not Indian people. Let me say this to those that are PPP. Your enemy is not PNC people. Those that are PNC, your enemy is not PPP people. Those that are black, your enemy are not Indians. Those that are Indians, your enemy is not black. Even those that are Amerindians, and you know that my background have some Amerindian too. My mother's side is Amerindian. My father is jet black. That's why I came out with this wonderful looking brown. But we should not see each other as enemies. The real enemy, Mr. Larimer, is the one who put an end to the very party that you're talking about, the PPP, that has a 75-year-old record. Because the PPP was the first party of Guyana. And who put that wedge between Burnham and Chetty? It was the same real elephant in the room. Caucasian people, they came up with strategies and ways to divide the two men. And from 75 years ago to now, they continue to play an active role in our development. You should bring me back. Let me deal with that question alone, brother. Just for an hour. But those are my closing, Maria. Maybe you could bring me back. Let me just deal with that topic alone. How they destroy Guyana. And the real enemy is not black against Indian, PPP against PNC. The real enemy is the Caucasian man.
All right, Jafar, I want to thank you so much for being here tonight. And definitely we will have you back on the program, bro. As time progresses, and like I said, we need more people like you to come out. And I always have this program open. And I believe at the next time we also might have someone else joining us so we can even wrap from a more wider perspective. So once again, thank you for being here tonight, brother. And I hope to see you sometime soon again. All right, guys. So that was Jafar, and like I said, a very hard working and prominent businessman in Linden Region 10. And whenever you come to Linden as well, and you get a little headache, or you're looking for a pharmacy to get something, his pharmacy is right there on the Republic Avenue on the main road, just opposite Courts. If you all know where Courts is in Linden, right? Just opposite Courts. Once you enter into Linden, you will see Courts. So once you see Courts on the left hand side, just opposite, it's a two-story building right below. That's where the pharmacy is. So once you come to Linden and you want to meet the brother in person as well, you can meet him there. All right. So I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. And guys, I am trying my best to keep this program more up and up going. And like I said, I will be here, and I want them to see, I want them to know that I will be here started from the 1st of January right down to the 31st of December. You will see me here, God's Spirit Life. This is 2025. This is election year, and we have to keep the pressure on. We need to start exposing the lies. We need to start bringing the truth. We need to start educating people. We need to bring sensitization to the public. We need to teach our younger generation, remind them of some of the things that we would have been through. And we can only do so collectively. We're not going to come. I personally don't plan to come on my platform here to mislead anybody, to give anybody any false information. I will try to be as accurate as possible. I do my investigations, I do my researches before I put anything on this program. So you can never come on this program to say, hey, you know what? You put up something there was false. No, I would never do that. And if by some reason that happened, that has to be a really I have to really not to be focused, and I would apologize for my mistakes. So guys, thank you so much for being here tonight, and I hope you enjoyed the program. Before I close, if anybody wanna just give a call in quick, 611-0200, you can call in if you want to say something, if you have a suggestion, and whatever, you can do so now, right? Good night to Danwati Lutan. I didn't know you were here all the time. Thank you for tuning in. Right, she says quiet. Danwati Lutan says it's quite an interesting program. We have Gary Ali. I will support this guest speaker. Oh, so Danwati's here all the time. All right, Stanley Hamilton. Good night to you, my brother. I didn't know. I don't know. I can't remember if I get to big you up, but good night to you, bro. And thank you for being here. Right, I see we have Fung Roger, which is Roger Fung, Shakiri Lexi. Good night to you. Maury Terrence, one of my supporters, well, who's always here, right? I see Shamo Gear. Good night to you, Shamo. Elizabeth Ramcharan, Tony Khan, and everyone who are here tonight, guys. Thank you so much for your continued support. So you will see me here, same time, same place tomorrow. Like I said, I just want to remind you guys again, my program is officially scheduled from 9 to 10 a.m. in the morning. But based on my availability during the course of the day, if you don't see me in the morning, you will see me in the night. And if you haven't got a chance to share as yet, just as the program ends, I want to ask you to continue to share the live. If you're in groups, share it in groups, Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups, wherever you can continue to share and let us get the message out here. Out there. This specific program tonight was very impactful, was very informative, and I believe a lot of persons need to get the message. So thank you so much for your continued support. This is my time for tonight, and I'm out.
We are a peaceful people. Struggle is we struggle, and we don't look for trouble. Just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know. We gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never break. Our fathers came here, and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere. Big mistake. Cause we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one grass, not a blade of grass.